Hey everyone, what's happening? Welcome to another edition of Fatal Showdown.
How's it going, everybody?
There we go. Why did your voice get all low all of a sudden, Chris? What
Why did
happened?
my voice get all of a sudden? I told you it wasn't loud enough.
I hate Hell
You weren't.
Pockets.
This is why you gotta pay attention to me.
There you
You
go.
got when I'm telling you things, I'm not lying to you. It's for your own good, Gibby.
Stop playing with your mixer, alright? How's it
I'm
going,
not playing
everybody?
with the
Welcome to
mix.
Fatal Showdown. Yeah, this is the first episode in a while. Last episode was a fun episode. And it's been quite some time. This time we came back with we got some really good news, right?
Some really good news, but I'm not gonna get too excited yet. I want everybody to touch the ball here, so I'll go last on my thoughts and opinions.
Alright. Alright, fine. We've got a new Samurai Shodown game that was announced after roughly 10 days of hype surrounding it from SNK, which is very strange. SNK doesn't usually go, hey guys, we got something in the woodworks and we're announcing it in 10 days. They don't do that. So this is different. But it's a good different because it got people excited. Everybody was trying to figure out what it was. There were people that were leaking the game, some people that were fake leaking the game. It was okay. It was fine, worked out. But I think the end results, like, I don't want to say perfect, but it exceeded my expectations, and it seems like it exceeded a lot of people's expectations on Twitter. Everyone seems to be excited for it. It's Haomaru, he's back. He's cutting people.
So you're talking about Samurai Showdown, and I won't even say it's unlikely that they would announce this. Maybe in the timing that they would, because obviously they just released another game, and no one was expecting something else to be in the pipeline. But like you said, the response was amazingly positive. It's got some good cross community buzz going on there, and yeah, Hamaru's back and he's looking super handsome.
What's up? You muted me? Oh. Um. Yeah, man. I mean, I'll tell you what. It fucking looks cool.
It
You
looks
know?
great. It looks like what. I mean, I won't say what we want KO 14 to look like because we didn't really know what KO 14 was until they showed
Look,
us. And we were like,
look, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. You know, this is a Game Goon show. This is our show,
yeah,
and there's a feeling I've been wanting to express, at least for myself. I fucking at this point hate talking about KOF 14. Be honest with you. It's not even 14. It's just, dude, we've been playing KOF for how fucking long? You know? And I don't know about you, but I know everybody here at this podcast is just a big fan of SNK games in general.
yeah, definitely.
And I want something that is different from KOF. And thank God that we got this, because I swear when they made this announcement, I was gonna lose my mind if it was gonna be another KOF game. I just wanted something else, and I'm so happy that they delivered the other great aspect that makes SNK the great company that it is. You know.
So
But
you
yeah,
wanted some diversity, basically, and you were kind of worried that you weren't going to get it because they hadn't been very forthcoming with information on how diverse they were going to get with their lineup.
yeah, it's just even honestly after 13, I really thought that they were gonna release a different game. You know, that's not KOF, right? Um, and when they released Heroines, I was kind of like, okay, I think we all knew what that was, right? And you could
Yeah.
really tell that it was more of a stepping stone of a game, right? And then it's morphed into something that a lot of people really like. You know, a lot of people really dig this game. They think it's fun, and at its base level is just something that everybody enjoys, right? Um, and that's cool. Another breath of fresh air, right? I like to see the company be able to flex their muscles on a new franchise, but still, it was really borrowing from a lot of the assets that were from KOF, you know, which I wanted them to get away from.
Yeah, it
So,
felt like we were kind of trapped in that same nightmare. Just to get a nice coat of sheen on it.
and we definitely got that with Samurai Showdown. There's a fucking future. You know, like to me, the future was in question. Like, are they gonna do what they need to do? And this is definitely a step in the right direction for me. You know, not putting all their chips in one basket and trying to expand not just the KOF fan base or whatever, but giving some love to give the opportunity to create another fan base, you know, that probably captures completely different people that KOF wouldn't, you
Right.
know. And that's what I think we're missing, us being SNK Neo Geo fans in this community, not necessarily the KOF community, but in the community of people that grew up with titles from SNK and Neo Geo era. And I'm happy with what I saw.
Um, my thoughts are so much that I agree. I felt like SNK needed to make the right move, and as soon as
Hmm.
possible. I'm not sick of talking about KOF 14, and I can, if they want to keep supporting it, whatever, right? I'm all about it. SNK Heroines, I had fun playing that as well, but I agree that there needed to be some sign of improvement on the way that they were doing things
Hmm.
sooner rather than later. And it was getting to be prime hour because TGS is right around the corner. And when they announced that announcement, I was like, okay, this is the time to do it, guys. Like, you can't blow it for the love of God. And they fucking nailed it, man. Like, this is quite possibly the best thing I've seen from them since 13, you know? And like when I first saw it, I was like, oh man, I'm ready to get shell shocked like I was with when I saw Exerd. When I first saw Exerd, I was kind of shell shocked by the way that looked, right? But when I saw the way Samurai Showdown looked, I was just like, okay, this makes perfect sense. And as it started, the trailer said it kept going on, I just got so comfortable with it so quickly that it didn't even really feel like it was a jarring experience, you know, at least for an SNK game. It felt
Hmm.
right. It felt like this is the path it should be on. It's good momentum. These are things that we knew they could do easily, you know?
Well, well, it's kind of like the best parts of KOF 14. As far as like KOF 14 didn't have the best graphics, but it had a lot of personality
Mhm.
and it had a interesting design. And I feel like they really carried that over into uh this new Samurai Showdown game where that was their expertise, and going into that it really showed, you know.
Yeah.
And I feel like the further we get into them finishing off the game, the more apparent that that's going to be, you know. The game has a lot of style, you know,
Mhm.
and it feels like a much more complete um where I felt KOF 14 felt a bit generic in appearance. They seem to have shed a lot of that, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm happy for that.
Like, I won't even lie. Like, you and I had to dig for some of that personality, you know?
Hmm.
Like, because KOF 14 is, you know, this is probably the last time we're going to mention it tonight, but a lot of that stuff that made KOF games that heavy of a personality game were not present in 14. You kind of had to go looking for it either in the character designs or in just like, you know, the more subtle stuff, but it wasn't bam in your face like you're used to seeing from KOF. But
Hmm.
here with Samurai Showdown, everything is just straight up like this is Samurai Showdown. It's gory. It's gonna be, well, we hope it's gonna play like a Samurai Showdown game. We wouldn't know. This could be a
Who
bold new venture.
knows?
It could be a bold new
Uh,
venture.
so I think we should get into the predictions of how this this game is gonna
That's a good
get
way to start.
received.
Yeah.
Uh, because hey, good on you, SNK Samurai Showdown fans, for the most part appreciating what you saw, right? People are hopeful. Looks like it's gonna be good. We don't really know much about it, but at the same time, we are totally aware of what our community is capable of when it comes down to whether they like something or they don't.
Right.
Um, and in the past, we have been extremely divided, and I would like it to not be that way with the Samurai Showdown game. But at the same time, there's a lot of people who've been waiting a long time for a mainstream Sam Show game to come out, and I'm sure those parts will definitely stick its head out. But I want to hope that we could all make it work, you know.
I want to see the classic parts stick out, but I feel like this is also their opportunity to do more with the franchise than they were able to do before, you know? Like Samurai Showdown's been around for longer than KOF, and it got overshadowed by KOF when they were both releasing new content, you know, almost year by year. So in a way, SNK almost couldn't beat itself. And I think now is the time for them to be like, you know, let's put some ideas into this franchise that we either didn't have time to do before, or maybe it'll work now because it's not competing with another product of ours, you know?
Dude, I would argue that Samurai Showdown is probably more revered than, fuck, dare I say, almost all of the fighting game franchises that SNK has.
That's dangerous, man, because like it doesn't have the reach.
No, so it's different. That's not. I'm not saying that it's most popular. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying as far as like from the developer standpoint, from people that appreciate the roster of games that SNK's created, I feel like that's like the artisan's game. You know what I mean? From the classic lineup that SNK had. I think everybody has a very high level of respect and appreciation for Samurai Shodown. Like everybody thinks about that game. If it's not the first, it's definitely the second game that you think of, as far as classic lineups and just a legendary franchise. Dude, because to me, man, that shit set the standard early. You know, visually, the game's fucking ridiculous when it first came out, and it kept improving on it as years went by. Had some of the best sprites and stages. I don't know. For me, it's top tier. For me.
I would agree with you in the sense that it probably does get more of the accolades than any other SNK product. Like you talk about Garo, you talk about KOF, but a lot of those games really didn't get mentioned. And at least let's talk about just from the West standpoint. Let's talk about just USA. You know, Garo and KOF, they were known about. And, you know, people knew Terry Bogard and shit like that. You know, he was an icon. But a lot of that shit kind of just, you know, stayed within its own sphere. Whereas Samurai Shodown kind of ventured outside of that, I think. You know, I think you did see a lot of Samurai Shodown outside of traditional fighting game community media. And it gets referenced a lot. So as far as American or USA reach goes, you probably will find people that revere Samurai Shodown above KOF more than the other way around. That being said, you know, internationally, I don't know. I can't say what it's like everywhere else, but I do know, like I hate to meme this shit, but straight up, man, like we just saw Giuna post like the photos of the t-shirts, and you got the damn Samurai Shodown silk shirts, right? Never seen a KOF silk shirt in downtown San Francisco. So it's definitely got that cultural icon impact going on there, almost as much as Street Fighter in a way. They're almost neck and neck in that sense because it kind of came up in that same era.
I know people who don't know shit about KOF or any other fighting game other than Street Fighter, but then they're like, yeah, remember that Samurai game?
Yeah.
That happens more often to me than, oh, KOF, yeah. Depends on who you ask. Like if I talk to
really
like my Mexican friends and shit like that, they know what KOF is. Yeah. But that's different.
But they'll also know what Samurai Shodown is also. That's the other
absolutely,
thing. They also know what it is. And I do think that there's a certain measure of respect that's given to Samurai Shodown that wasn't given to KOF, because KOF, let's face it, it was a game they released every year. Wasn't really about the artistry of the game. It was about keeping up with their bottom line. And I mean, I'll be real, it's a Game Goons show. We love SNK, we love KOF, but not all those games are great, all right? Like, not all those games hit the mark.
The artistry of KOF didn't necessarily come into like amazing graphics.
No.
It ended up being where a lot of characters had some fucking crazy animations where it was like, fuck, dude, like this shit's impressive.
Yeah, they were really creative with the way those characters moved. I mean, like K999 just alone was like, you know, like they can't even use that character anymore, but his animations were ridiculous for 2D fighting games at the time. Like, if it wasn't for him, I don't think you would ever have half of the ridiculous style characters that you have now, you know? And if he wasn't ripping off freaking Tetsuo, then it would have been perfectly fine. But it's it's hard for me to find another SNK product. Maybe Garo, if you go into a hardcore circle of gamers / anime fans. But if we're gonna talk just straight up people that are fans of gaming, went to an arcade in the 90s, went to bowling alleys in the 90s, they probably look at Samurai Showdown as that game, and they don't probably even know who SNK is. Let's be real. Probably have no idea who SNK is.
I think, yeah, it's a different crowd we're talking about, right? Like, if you come in the perspective of like actual fighting game players, I think most people probably will put Garo really high.
Yeah.
Right. I do hear a lot of people talk about that game, like Garo, right? At the same time, it's like the greater community of people that like SNK, not all of them gotta play that game. That game wasn't in a lot of arcades.
Nope.
You know, it wasn't at your local fucking pizza joint like Fatal Fury was and Samurai Showdown was.
Right.
It was a later cycle SNK game. So I'm trying to look at it from a bigger perspective and not look at it in a narrow, like my experience and people like me. Because from our experience with Dragon Ball Fighters, it fucking matters.
Oh yeah.
You know, it matters that this has an appeal outside of just FGC people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we gotta look at this game in all aspects that it serves, and yeah, it's just something we gotta consider. And I think Samurai Showdown has a really good potential to go beyond the level that KOF probably couldn't. You know, outside of the spectrum of the FGC.
Definitely. Now, I will say that as far as the freedom to do things, and I'm only talking about strictly from history's path. You know, there's literally nothing about Samurai Showdown today that says they can't put X character in Samurai Showdown. You know, they can do whatever they want with it. But strictly from a historian's path, like its point of view, KOF, whoever you wanted in the game had a good chance of being in there. You know.
Right.
With Samurai Showdown, it was strictly about the Samurai Showdown lore. That's different now, though. Now we're talking about an era where SNK has done things like, you know, lend out IPs to other developers, you know, and now they're actually taking something back in. We got the character from Million Nights Arthur coming into SNK Heroines. That's the first time I've seen them do that with a totally unrelated IP, you know.
I'm really curious, Gibby. What's your thoughts on all this shit, man? I mean, you're a historian and you know probably more shit about this type of stuff than we do. What do you think, Gibby?
So everyone talks about how Street Fighter 2 was the revolutionary fighting game in arcades, all that stuff, which is true. It's true. Everything copied it. Samurai Showdown was the first original fighting game after Street Fighter 2. First popular original fighting game. And pretty much every arcade had it. And it was huge. Like, it took everything away from all the other games. Because not only was it gory and bloody, it had swords. It had a fucking ninja. It had a Japanese ninja, and it had a white ninja,
man.
All right, yeah. And one of the ninja had a puppy. Okay. It was
San Francisco.
Yeah, it was genuinely a big deal when it came out. That game had much more of an impact on fighting games than KOF did, especially at the time. Most people who grew up in the arcades will know Samurai Showdown before they know KOF. And
and that's definitely from a perspective of somebody that lives in Southern California, right?
Yeah, not just SoCal.
I would say almost
No. I'm saying for you, you're a guy that comes from more or less Southern California, right?
Yes.
And through your experiences, at least for sure, you know for a fact that out here it was like that. Because in my experience, it was definitely like that. And even okay, we go further into the way it was received all over the country, and not just all over the country. I think another great measuring point of how great the franchise is how developers revere this franchise.
Yeah.
Right. All the people that you know that are developers that are big names, they all either ripped from this fucking series or they heavily borrowed from it, inspiration or whatever. It's in everything. Where the fuck do you think Daisuke came from?
Daisuke came from Last Blade.
But you don't have Last Blade.
No. what I'm saying is, where do you think he was borrowing things from when he was fucking doing that shit? And he was working in the company.
Oh yeah.
That's true.
And then when you go from that to Guilty Gear,
You wouldn't
Yeah,
even
there's-
have the run option without Samurai Shodown.
Yeah, Samurai Shodown introduced a ton of mechanics to fighting games, running and hopping, laying on the ground, parrying. It was the first game with an actual fucking parry.
Yeah, it was.
Not Street Fighter 3, everybody. Remember that. It introduced that. Everyone talks about how footsies are important in fighting games. Samurai Shodown, especially the old ones, footsies that's the whole goddamn game until you pick Ukyo.
Tsubamagaishi.
There's so much impact this game had, and from an artistic standpoint, no arcade game did what this did. Like this, you walked to an arcade, you just saw the presentation to this, blew everything away. Street Fighter, Fatal Fury, Art of Fighting, Mortal Kombat, all that shit just fucking destroyed it. And
go ahead.
yeah, a lot of people don't know this, or they don't remember one or the other. Because with once Samurai Shodown went from the original art style to the newer art style with 3 and above,
beefed up. Yeah.
so people debated whether it was better or not. From a gameplay standpoint, most people agreed it wasn't better with 3, not so much like 4, 5, 6. But visually, people argued. Like some people hated the new style, while others loved it. Like the new style is definitely from an artistic standpoint, it looks better. The characters and everything. But I understand that not everybody enjoyed it. So a lot of people, the series went downhill from there because of that, and because 3 was genuinely like a busted game.
Well, also, as far as I know, when you get deeper into the sequels, as far as I could tell, those sequels weren't in heavy rotation like 1 and 2 were.
No, they were not. Because 3
I
flopped.
don't remember playing past 2 in the arcades. At least like not the arcade,
Mhm.
but in like normal places that just had cabs. You know, like pizza joints or whatever. They didn't have that shit.
So I had the fortune of being in an arcade that was very dedicated to the competitive fighting game scene at the time, and so we got 4. And when we got 4, a lot of people were just like, "Oh, hey, they still make this game series." So it had already fallen off at that point after 2. After 3 came out, we didn't even hear about it. You know?
Yeah, same here, dude. I saw this shit at Knott's Berry Farm. Like I went to Knott's Berry Farm and they had like 3 or 4. I don't know which one they fucking had. But this was back in the day when theme parks had like the shit. They had everything.
The godlike arcades, man.
Dude, those arcades were fucking dope.
Pristine.
Yeah, I went and I saw like an update to Samurai Shodown. I haven't played it since 2, and I was like, dude, what are all these fucking characters? And the sprites look fucking dope as shit. Yeah, man.
You know what the biggest trip for me though is like, so I knew that things were gonna go weird when they totally changed the way Kyoshido looked. So Kyoshido in 1 and 2 was this little midget, probably even portly kabuki dancer guy with a spear, right? So everybody was used to. He was almost a mascot of the game for a little bit in certain areas, and then in 3, he becomes this super lean, tall dude with shorts, buff, and like dude never skips leg day, like just like the sexiest Kyoshido you've ever seen in your life. And I knew people were just gonna be like, man, I don't know, like he looks cool, but what was wrong with the way he looked before, you know? And like I said, I didn't hate it, but I knew people were just like, this is not the game I recognize. And at the time, like things were, because I think 3 came out in like 94, 93. No, that was
no. 3 came out in 95.
95. Oh, 4 came out in 96. Okay. So like 3 came out in 95. And so around then, like, you know, things are really heating up. And I was like, I don't know if like, you know, like a game like that could survive. Like in retrospect, like it's almost like I wouldn't expect the game to survive such a radical makeover, you know? Especially if it's like, while as popular and known as Samurai Shodown was, you know, I don't know if it was household yet. Not like Street Fighter.
I think it depends on region.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Here in SoCal, for sure, Samurai Shodown was a household name. After going to various scenes, throughout the years, and then eventually getting the internet, I learned that it was a household name everywhere. A lot of competitive players or players who went to the arcade hated that KOF didn't look as good as Samurai Shodown. Hated that it didn't have basically the love that Samurai Shodown got, and from the developers, like the actual developers of the game. Samurai Shodown's objectively a beautiful series, and when you compare it to KOF, especially in the 90s, KOF just, while there was love there was only so much they can do with that many characters, and they did a lot with fucking Samurai Shodown.
I mean that's just, it's difficult to explain, especially back in those times. Like, hey, you gotta take a hit in graphical output when you have that many fucking characters in the game, versus, you know, a Samurai Shodown game or like Street Fighter 2 or whatever, or even like Garo's a good example of like you make those games look beautiful in different ways.
Yeah,
you know, but to me, and a lot of people, that was the pinnacle of taking that type of art style as far as they could, you know.
I almost want to say people took it for granted too, because it's almost like they expected all the games to look like that, you know.
How are you gonna explain that though to people back in the day? They didn't get it. Like,
yeah, no one gets it.
It was tough.
Like, dude, you don't understand when they poured it to like your SNES and like, why does it look like shit? Like I don't get it. Like, I'm at the arcade and it doesn't make sense to you when you're younger. Like, okay, I'm pretty sure this game looks way fucking different. Until you get older and you understand that the arcades have more powerful machines.
Yeah, I mean, unless you were like a freaking one of those rich kids, you had a Sega CD, you were playing, you know, the scaled down version. Exactly. And back then you were just like, even though you basically got indoctrinated to, you know, well, I guess you would call that downscaling, or even just like, you know,
porting,
compression, you know.
Bad
you've
ports.
been, or porting, bad ports basically, right? Porting through compression, all that shit. You get introduced to all these concepts as a kid, but you're just like, I don't really get it, and I'm just gonna make the most of it, you know. Whereas now we wouldn't stand for that shit.
Yeah, people would riot these days.
Oh, for sure, man. But the thing is like, I learned so much just because of that, you know. Like, I actually learned, I'm like, you know what, it's gonna be on Super Nintendo, it's not gonna look right. And so when Alpha 2 came out on Super Nintendo, I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna get the PS1 version. I don't know why you did that.
And the PS1 version was also pretty bad.
It was, but at least it looked kind of right.
Yeah, it did. I was fortunate enough to have a Neo Geo, so I didn't have to deal with what you plebs had to deal with. Okay.
Neo Geo, the $600 man over here.
Hey, I worked my ass off to get that. Okay.
I don't even know where'd you buy that from. Did you buy that off the back of what's the name of that magazine?
No, we had a local video game store owned by some other Middle Eastern people who my dad knew, and they gave him a discount on it.
Oh, sick.
So my brother and I had the Neo Geo Gold System, 2 sticks, NOM 1975, Magician Lord,
Jesus
Baseball
Christ.
Stars. We basically had 2 G's worth of shit.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to say this is basically an arcade. It's basically a cab.
And then when Samurai Shodown came out, we were so excited. Like, this game is so sick. This game's tight. We went to the local arcade and where I lived in North Hollywood called Family Fun Arcade. Or not Family Fun, I'm sorry. Fun Factory Arcade. We tried to buy the Samurai Shodown cart. We were like, oh, arcade. We've been told arcade games are a bit cheaper than the actual ones, so let's see if we can buy it. And the guy sold it to us for $150.
What the fuck?
Yeah, we're like, okay, cool. And then we learned that day that we could not put it in our Neo Geo.
Oh my god!
And we were so heartbroken that we had to. We ended up saving up.
We had to go rob somebody else, because the only way you made money back in the day was from robberies, from pulling jack moves.
Oh my god!
But yeah, it was for us. We played it on Neo Geo. We had everything. It was cool. And then we'd also get the Super Nintendo versions because, like, hey, let's see how these look. And we knew almost instantly with Street Fighter that it was different. It felt different. Not only did it look different, it also felt different, sounded different. Everything was just wrong. But we're like, hey, let's try Neo Geo stuff or the SNK stuff on the Neo Geo, and it was nice. And then our cousin had a Genesis, and when we tried Samurai Shodown on that, we're like, hey, this looks way better than Super Nintendo, but what the fuck? Where's Earthquake? This is completely missing from the game.
Compression.
And that's what they did to make the Genesis version look better than the Super Nintendo version. They got rid of the least popular character. At the time, the least popular character.
I'm about to say, he's definitely not the least popular right now.
No, he's not. But at the time, you need to remember, he was just a big fat white guy.
Yeah,
he was goofy. He farted on you. No one cared about him.
Dude, I learned the hard way from Genesis Samurai Showdown, and later on when I played Marvel vs. Street Fighter on PlayStation, where you couldn't tag in.
Oh, well, you had to have the same characters.
Dude, it was fucking stupid. And I was like, wait, dude, because I saved up, like, it was hard to save that money, dude. And it was the first game I bought on my PlayStation. I was like, dude, this is the shit. I love playing in arcade. And then, lo and behold, like, the whole tag function completely not in the game.
That's what I'm saying. Like, the amount of bullshit we dealt with as children to play our favorite games, and SNK was offering us the way out with the Neo Geo the whole time. We just had to pay $600. Well, let's not get too off, because you asked me, what are the predictions for Samurai Showdown? We're going to call it 2019 version, PS4 exclusive. Sony is still shelling out bread for exclusive fighting games.
That's confirmed?
They said it's a PS4.
I'm pretty sure it's a no. If you say pretty sure, that's
very
a no.
So we can assume that it is on PS4 for sure, because it is at the Sony presser, but we can also assume that it's going to be on Steam.
Oh, okay, yeah, Steam. All right, there we go. No cross-platform. I'm not saying that, though. That should be the future, though. Anyway, so we're talking about what are their expectations and predictions for gameplay mechanics. This is what's going to divide the country of Samurai Showdown. How does the game play? How much of the original games does it retain? And which games does it retain from? And how much of the new shit is going to get in there? Off the top of my head, I'm going to assume there's at least 1 or 2 new mechanics.
Oh, there's going to have to be new mechanics. It's just a new...
Right?
Every new iteration of any fighting game has new mechanics. Like, it's just simple as that. Like, well, the one thing that turned a lot of people loved and got turned off to by Samurai Showdown is the rage gauge. It's one of the greatest things, because the more you get hit, the more pissed off you get, and the more pissed off you get, the more damage you do.
That makes sense, bro.
Yeah, exactly. See,
perfect sense.
And it's also a thing that later in Samurai Showdown games, there were characters who got angrier quicker than other ones.
And then to balance out the rage gauge, they added sword meter, to which the higher your sword gauge is, the more damage you do. So every time you swing, you lose sword meter. And then you start doing less and less damage. No matter how much rage you have, you cannot do your full output of damage because your sword meter's down. And that's something that pleased a lot of people. And that's one of the reasons why 5 Special is the way it is. And a lot of people argue that it's better than Samurai Shodown 2 as a competitive game.
It obviously depends. That debate is, people are really hardcore on both ends.
Yep.
And I don't have too much experience in those communities, to be honest with you. But just from hearing from people that are pro Samurai Shodown 2 and pro 5 Special, at least the Sam Show 2 guys are definitely like, this is the best.
Oh, no, yeah, Samurai Shodown 2 guys will not get off their shit.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure some of them crossed over for sure because they just love the series, but a lot of them hardcore Samurai Shodown 2 guys that I know just like, this ain't Samurai Shodown 2. Like, that's what they say. It's like, this ain't 2. Why am I watching this shit? I don't want to watch no trash-ass 5. I'm a grown man.
I'm definitely from a younger generation than those guys. So, and I'm an artist and I like beautiful art. And the later you get into the series, the better stuff looks. So that's really me. I'm just what's it called? A very surface level dude on Samurai Shodown.
You're a Samurai Shodown millennial. That's what you are.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I'm in the middle because when I was a kid, 2 was a big thing, and so I played that, and then I got 3 on PS1, and then our arcades inexplicably got 4, and so I learned about Kazuki, and I was like, dude, I fucking love this character. You put a fucking Super Saiyan and it's freaking Samurai Showdown. Why wouldn't I play this shit, right? So I gotta say, my heart's with the later games as well, you know, because I get to keep Genjiro, I get to play Kazuki, you know. But at the same time, my prediction, not necessarily what I'm wishing for, but my prediction for how how the system gets implemented into this game is that since it's been a while since we've played a Samurai Shodown game, and it's probably going to attack some of the nostalgia factor of the series, we're probably just going to get Rage Gauge.
I doubt it.
No,
like that.
Yeah. I think we're gonna get more.
No. Yeah, dude. I don't know.
You can't just bring it back full circle to bare bones. You have to add something new to it. It's like, look what they tried doing with 14. They tried bringing it back to being as simple as possible. They're like, hey, let's try to please all the old fans and new fans at the same time. Didn't work out too well. They kept the core group of players, but a lot of the newer fans didn't like it, and at the same time, some of the older fans didn't like it. You do the same with Samurai Shodown, which doesn't necessarily have an existing competitive scene in the States or anywhere in the world for that matter. You're playing with fire, and you don't want to do that.
I also would say I would actually change what I said. You made a great point that it doesn't really have that existing ecosystem like KOF does, where you do anything in KOF, there's going to be like 800,000 people that are pissed at you, like automatically. Samurai Shodown, you might piss off. You might piss off people, but it's not like they were at EVO. It's not like there's a history of high-profile esports shit happening there. Well, you can kind of play around with that a little bit more.
EVO or not, that doesn't mean anything. KOF was always like that, even before.
I'll say this: the difference between Samurai Shodown and KOF is that I feel people from the KOF community would be quicker to light a fire on a mechanic that they don't like, as opposed to in the Samurai Shodown community.
Well, they got the agency for it.
Mainly because there's just been so many different versions of that game that people have been able to develop okay, now I want you to make my perfect version of my game. You know, you've made so many of these fucking games. Now you should be at the point where now you're gonna make the perfect amalgamation of what a KOF game should be. And guess what, folks? Nobody's ever fucking happy. Well, that's the way it is.
Not everyone's ever happy. I was very happy with XI.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's definitely people that are happy with that. But yeah. However, I feel like this is gonna be much more open because it's like you guys said. There's not really a hardcore, big enough community for the Samurai Shodown games, at least tournament-wise, that I'm sure if we were to have it our way, the people that do compete would like to have a say and all that type of stuff. But it's going to be so many people from different angles coming in on this, hopefully, that we're going to have to be really flexible as to how we decide to deal with this in a tournament setting.
I think that's great.
I do think it'll work out, simply because I would assume I'm definitely jumping the gun on here, but I would assume that we value growing the base for a game like Samurai Shodown. This is the first actual time in a very long fucking time where you're gonna see actual growth in the Samurai Shodown community, like meaningful growth. So I would not take this opportunity lightly and try to look at it with an open mind.
Yeah, no gatekeeping, please. I mean, in tournament, sure, but like, you know,
well,
actually welcome people.
It's going to happen whether we like it or not.
Oh, sure. But I gotta say, don't do it at least.
So, being in the scene as long as I have, knowing all the people I do, I can tell you guys, and I'm sure you guys know this, the majority of the KOF fans, KOF community, don't really care about anything that isn't KOF. And that's the main thing I'm worried about. Them just pushing the game for the sake of just like pushing it and secretly like disliking it as a whole. Because that's generally what happens with anything that's not KOF that comes out from SNK, which is very unfortunate. That's why I always say that there's the KOF community and then there's the SNK community. If you find someone that plays Samurai Shodown, very good chance this person also plays Fatal Fury, Last Blade, like some of the other SNK or Neo Geo games. You find someone that plays KOF, very good chance they only play KOF games.
Yeah, I could see that.
And I've had discussions with multiple people in the scene, like regarding this. Everyone wanted a new KOF for the most part, and by everyone I mean
I
KOF people.
I did hear that a lot, and I was very confused by it
Mm-hmm.
because so earlier I said that I don't really want to talk about KOF, and it's only because it's like, dude, don't you guys want something else? I mean, they give you a good KOF game. I never said that KOF sucked. Like KOF 14 wasn't a good game. It's a good game. They gave it to you. They gave you a big ass roster. Why would you want another one? I like another one. They're not gonna give you the same amount of fucking roster. The graphics, if they do give you another one, are gonna suck, and that's a big problem for a lot of people. You got to think about it financially. How much of a come up is a KOF 15 with the same graphics engine, and like it's just where do you go from there? Unless you have Samurai Shodown come out, use the Unreal Engine, and now you create enough space to really set off into another chapter that's different.
Yes.
That's it, man. That's the only reason why I don't really want to talk a lot about KOF 14. It's not because it's a bad game. It's just like, fuck, man. It's there. You don't like it? You can play KOF 13. You can play 98, 02.
No, not 02.
Yeah, they can play whatever. Those are the popular. Even 11.
Yeah, they can play whatever. You can play whatever KOF game you want. And we are in the middle of the second season of the Neo Geo World Tour, and you want a new game? I don't think so, sir.
At the start of it. Like, why would you say the middle? It just started like 2-3 weeks ago.
Dude,
I was going to say, no, it feels like the middle of it because it literally started at the end of the first one. It feels like it's the middle. I don't know.
Give us... Weird. They're giving us Samurai Shodown. That was on my wish list. They're giving us Samurai Shodown. Next on the list, fuck that, fuck KOF. Give us fucking Garo 2.
Yeah, that's what everyone...
How is that not the succession of what SNK fans want? That's like... got it. I guess if you would have to leave out like Real Bout, it's kind of like the Trinity, right? Like,
yeah,
that's the game that you got dicked over that you did not get to see the second one.
Yeah, the 3 games that people... The 4... just the 3 games people have wanted to see that have never happened were Mark of the Wolves... Or, Garo 2, Last Blade 3, and Real Bout 3. But Real Bout 3 is tricky because, there's...
Mark of the Wolves.
Mark of the Wolves. But a lot of the diehard SNK fans didn't like Mark of the Wolves initially because it's not Fatal Fury. It's Street Fighter, and it really is. It plays more like a Street Fighter game than a Fatal Fury game. And that turned people off. So they're like, yeah, they just tried to copy Street Fighter, but if you look at the history of Fatal Fury, all it does is copy Street Fighter.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, what?
So you have Fatal Fury 1 through 3, which copy Street Fighter 2. You have Fatal Fury, or the Real Bout games, which copy Alpha, and then you have Wild Ambitions, EX, and then you have Mark of the Wolves, Third Strike.
And I would say the only, not the only difference, but the main difference being that you have 2 different planes to attack on. And they took that out in Garo Mark of the Wolves. So it was like legit, like, hey, this is like, coming out same time as Third Strike. So, I mean, I'm just gonna agree with both of you guys. Like, yeah, this is the perfect time for SNK to stretch its wings and do what it said it was gonna do when the new parent company said, we want to revitalize all these IPs and make them the best company in the world again, not just for fighting games, but just for gaming in general. You can't do that just with KOF.
Yeah, it'll be great. As I love KOF, but I mean, we've had nothing but King of Fighters for like the past
10 years almost, man. Jeez.
Think about the identity of a game like KOF as well, right? It has so many fucking characters. It's hard as a consumer or somebody from the outside to look at it and be like, oh, I get where this is going. Like, if you're somebody else that's just looking at it, you're like, there's a shitload of fucking characters in this game. Where the fuck are they all from? Now you're getting the opportunity to build off of this very specialized thing, right? That is very different, very much its own identity that we're gonna let you in on, that is a part of our famous franchises. And it's something that people can really dig their claws into and create a relationship with, where I feel like KOF, people really like watching it, and I always get this since forever. They love watching and love seeing people play it, but do they invest themselves in it? A lot of people don't, from people that say that they want to. whether it be for the dumb reasons of like whatever, it's too many characters and you got to learn so many matchups or whatever. I don't think it's a dumb reason, but it's a common reason, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a very KOF reason.
Yes,
Yeah.
and it's a conversation you only have with that game, but you can't have that with Samurai Showdown because it's a limited roster, it's 1v1, and it's like, okay, those excuses are now gone. You know, now you're getting a SNK game that is more along the lines of what you're familiar with understanding.
Well, and also the general match flow of Samurai Showdown games has always been extremely different than pretty much everything else SNK has brought out in recent years. So you can, I mean, that'll go back into the gameplay mechanics where I would say that, you know, there's probably going to be some ideas there that they haven't really explored either in KOF or in any other of their games in a long time, either or ever.
Samurai Showdown has always been different from every other SNK game. It was always more of a slow-paced, steady fighter. And Last Blade, even though it's also a weapon-based fighter, it was more attack-oriented. Like it's a faster-paced game than Samurai Showdown. Samurai Showdown's all about pacing, space. It's the footsie game.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And no, there aren't really any other SNK games that are like devoted to that. I mean, there are, but like nothing as prominent as Samurai Showdown. And Samurai Showdown has stayed that way for the most part, except with 4, which was wild. But people like 4, so that's cool.
You know what? While we're at this point, Gibby, do you think you could run the trailer?
Yes.
Just so that we can have a quick visual of what's going on and maybe give like a little play-by-play.
And I think this will help with us trying to figure out where they're going with the direction of this game because, I mean, I want to see more classic Samurai Showdown action. I feel like that game it has to. I feel like it has to. You can't just call it Samurai Showdown and have it play like Last Blade or Guilty Gear. It has to be Samurai Showdown style. But at the same time, I'm not exactly angry at the idea that they might speed things up. They might add some, you know, some target combos or combo strings or something like that.
I'll tell you what, you'll know that Last Blade's dead if they jack Last Blade shit and put it in the game.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
like if they put Last Blade shit in there, you're like, oh fuck, they're never bringing back Last Blade.
Right. But that might be worth it because, like, hey, why split the audience? You know.
I'm not mad at the way this game looks right now. Like the special effects that we've seen look really fucking good so far to sell the impacts and stuff, and that's a big thing in Samurai Showdown. Selling the impacts, you know, that's all, like a fucking hit is like monstrous in Samurai Showdown. You can fucking feel it, you know.
Negative 50 frames of stun or something.
Yeah, that was the big thing with Samurai Showdown. You hit with a Fierce Slash and you see it do like almost half life. You're like, oh, he can't do anything.
So
it's so sick. It's a big deal. And you said if they bring Last Blade mechanics into this, Last Blade's dead. I saw people posting a screenshot of an interview with Oda. Saying that Last Blade will never return. I don't know how true that is. I didn't see the source for that. I just saw people posting this from some interview somewhere. So I don't know where the interview was. So we'll see. I don't want Last Blade to be dead. It may not be my favorite series, but it's definitely a fan favorite.
It's a fun game, but I also think that Last Blade mechanics can live on in Samurai Showdown.
They're 2 completely different games. It would be hard to make some of those mechanics work if they don't change
changing the face of Samurai Showdown, exactly.
And that's one thing I wanted to kind of go into. Samurai Showdown, like I said, it's a slow-paced game, and there aren't very many slow-paced games right now. Even Street Fighter's pretty fast-paced these days.
Yeah.
Are they going to speed this up? Is it gonna move faster, more damage? What are they going to do with this to make it more appealing and more friendly to spectators?
You know what? I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't watch a lot of Sam Show 2, right? But I did watch a lot of Samurai Showdown Special 5 Special. I think that pace is fine. I think that the pace of that game is more than watchable. I did see a little bit of 2, and I could see the problem there. You know, for you have to be a person that is into that game to really appreciate it.
Mhm.
You know, I don't think that that's the case for Samurai Showdown 5 Special. I think that casual viewers can watch it, and people that are part of the FGC can watch it and get what's going on and appreciate it. So if it were for me, if they were to go for the Samurai 5 Special speed, I think that'd be perfectly fine. If they speed it up, it becomes a much different game.
It does, and that's where it becomes it teeters to becoming more Last Blade like, which is not what Samurai Shodown ever was, and they've said in plenty of interviews in the past they don't want Samurai Shodown to become Last Blade.
And I would agree with that. I don't think that's the best idea. But I also know that in the year 2019, you got some sensationalism. You know, like need some bells and whistles. It can't all just be, you know, hey, this function has its place and is very mechanically sound, but ain't much to look at. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, that's literally all. Yeah, go ahead.
You got to think about it too. Think about the way that the game plays with clashes, parries, and all that stuff. It doesn't really play towards faster gameplay.
Right.
You know, like, you don't imagine, if we conceptualize it, that you'd want to play those moments up, right? Otherwise, why have them in the fucking game? They kind of alluded to the fact that they would have those clashes. Not really parries, but those things that kind of slow down the gameplay to sell what Samurai Showdown has become, right?
Just want to say, this game is so beautiful. Like, I have been watching it all day, and each time I see little other nuances that I just enjoy about it. Most of all, the backgrounds look amazing.
I'll say this: how you always gonna fuck up my white boy ninjas? Fucking Galford's face kind of weird. Not the worst though.
Not kin face, right? He doesn't have kin face.
Not fucking Andy Bogard, terrible. But he other than that, he looks good. It's just the face is kind of like, oh.
They can't give no honor to the Gaijin, man.
Yeah.
You know actually, I'm thinking about it, man. Like, and I know I'm getting ahead of myself here. I've been jumping the gun all night, but already I'm thinking, like, man, what could Galford's DLC costume be?
Andy. Another white ninja.
Another white. You could be Andy Bogard, right?
You could be Michael Dudikoff.
You could be Chip, dog.
Chip, Xana.
Yes.
Hey, man, I'd be down for it.
Put Chip in this game.
Like, that's why I wanted to talk about SNK Heroines, because I was like, man, like, the DLC possibilities for SNK games now are tremendous because of the customized mode. There's no other game out there that has that. And yeah, it's probably a pain in the ass to implement. But man, if you could charge people for items, you're making bank, especially for a game that looks like this.
Hey, by the way, look at the clothing. I know you and I noticed this shit.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of movement in the clothing in this game.
Oh yeah, they're all like, there's so much attention to detail. Like, out of any fighting game right now, this is more attention to detail in the clothing than anything else. On top of that, there's much like Dragon Ball FighterZ, there's battle damage in this.
Yeah.
You see it.
What? I didn't even notice.
Yeah, you see blood on them while they're fighting. You see like scuffs, scratches, all that stuff. We can assume there's fatalities as of right now. It's hard to say, but look how fucking bloody this shit is.
Yeah, man.
This is back to true forms, and you would assume.
Remember, this is back before the hepatitis got the vaccination, so these people are taking their lives in their own.
I want to get those deep Japanese groans in this fucking game, of like those fucking old masters fucking sounds and shit. Oh, dude.
Special technique.
I can't even imitate it without being racist, but it's fucking the shit. Think Sho Kasugi and fucking Ninja Assassin.
No, man, that you could probably get that kind of stuff, because that's the kind of media that this appeals to, you know?
Yeah, it's that old school shit, man. Let's be real. This is definitely a product that is playing off of nostalgia and knows its identity. Like, if any game has so much identity of like, this is what it is, I would have to say that Samurai Shodown is the least insecure about what it is.
Oh, for sure.
No, they know what it is.
Yeah.
They know exactly what they are trying to do and what they're playing off of. And I mean, it's no wonder that they use a lot of historical figures that have been made into, they've been made movie characters, you know? Freaking Yagyu Jubei, you know? Yagyu Jubei, one of the most famous, at least, well, I'll just say one of the most prolific and played historical Japanese figures in modern theater, you know? So, yeah, they know exactly what they're going for. And I'll be honest, I'll be 100% honest right now. When I first heard about Yagyu Jubei, it was through Samurai Shodown. And when I found out he was the main character of Ninja Scroll, I was like, yo, is Ninja Scroll a Samurai Shodown anime? It's starring Yagyu Jubei.
That's something a lot of people are like, hey, they just stole the character from Samurai Shodown.
Yeah.
That happened.
Hattori Hanzo also. I was like, what the fuck?
Oh, yeah. When you see, like, Hanzo and everything, and you're like, whoa.
SNK's making bank right now.
Yeah, it's one of those things where there are so many characters in it that they all have some kind of historical significance. Not all, but most. And people want to see how they're going to do them justice in this.
I mean, shit, like, you know, dare I say that Nakaruru being an Ainu is probably like one of the first social commentaries in fighting game history? Because the Ainu were not treated very nicely by the Japanese.
Because of Samurai Shodown.
Because of Samurai Shodown. But I'm just saying, like, that was one of those things where it's like, it was one of those things where it was like, remember that freaking Custer's Revenge game where he had to fight the Native Americans? Like, it was almost on that level, except handled in a much more tasteful fashion. It made her the heroine. I'm like, wow, that's really cool. Like, looking back on it, saying like, hey, you know, that's a very nice way to represent that culture in this game.
You know, I'd have to imagine too that this SNK has put out a lot of games where you can tell they went as far as the time would allow them to really do their research on things, as far as like what things are based on. They've been able to grasp a lot of interesting aspects into a game like this, and educate young Americans that don't know jack shit about fucking Japan.
Yes, no, seriously, man. Like, I like, like back in the old days, like the English wasn't that great. The damn English in Samurai Shodown was almost impossible to follow. So, I mean, I won't say you were super educated, but there were things that, like, just the imagery of like the countryside of Japan. Like, you know, you just didn't know that places like that existed, and like
or
some
the
of the religious
music,
aspects.
man.
Or the music.
The music is very, very, very different and very specific to the pacing of Samurai Shodown that just works so fucking well.
And you never thought it would. Like, you would listen to like Halmaril's background stage, right? You're like, it just sounds like waves crashing against the rocks. Why would I buy a CD of this shit, right? And then like 10 years later, like, oh, it makes perfect sense, you know? Perfect pacing, perfect mood set.
Yeah, man. I've been begging for a new Samurai Shodown game behind the scenes quite some time now.
He has. He just wants Ninja back. That's it.
You want to play a Ninja?
To I guess segue into that image that they have with pretty much the characters are more than likely going to come out in the game. Gibby, if you could pop that in that sucker so we could get a look at it. I was disappointed because I didn't see this screen. But I was like, bro, they don't got my dude Hanzo in this shit, man. And then I saw the screen and I was like, my dude. And then Ukyo too? Bro.
Nah, fuck Ukyo. No, I like Ukyo. I want to play Ukyo and no one but Ukyo. I hope he's top tier.
Wow.
Pocket's curse.
Like that is straight up top tier. That's what you want?
Oh, yeah, man. It never fails. Whenever I pick a character in any game, he's immediately low tier. I've never had any luck with that, ever. So I'm going to be an Ukyo main. Cutting my losses. They couldn't make Ukyo bad, right? He's got Tsubame Gaishi.
No, you know what? He's one of those designs that can easily be too good, and you could really destroy him.
I mean,
like, if you don't balance him right.
They've never done it right, so. But anyway, there you see the image of what a lot of people, well, we did see it.
It vanished,
What people were thinking was going to be if Charlotte has a stage, and she always has a painting on there, right? A very robust painting. And that definitely looks like the kind of painting that Charlotte would have on her wall while she is probably stabbing someone in that painting on her carpet.
Uh-huh.
That shit always bugs me out. I'm like, hey, you got a painting of Hamaru and you're stabbing him with a freaking 3-pronged candle holder. What the hell, lady?
He deserves it.
He probably does deserve it, you know? Why would you pick on someone like Charlotte? She's so nice. Comes all the way over here from France, builds a castle, brings you in, gives
Always
you a
top
warm
tier.
place to sleep.
You know
Always
what, man?
top tier.
I just thought about it. I think Samurai Showdown is one of the only games where I really invested in playing a female character, just because I thought they were so fucking cool in this game.
Which one? Charlotte?
Specifically Charlotte. Like I thought she was dope as fuck.
I didn't hate her.
Even Knock as well. Like I had a lot of fun playing those characters.
I always wanted to play the Rasetsu version of Knock. And so I actually hope that Rasetsu and Shuda versions of characters do come back. But at the same time, I'm not going to be that surprised if they do what they did in 5, where they actually started splitting characters apart and making them alternate personalities of them. Like, you know, you got Kazuki and Sogetsu, and you get Suija and Inja. You got Haomaru and Rasetsumaru. You have Nak and Rera, I believe her name goes.
Yes, that's right.
But I think Rera supposedly remerged with her, so that may not be an available character.
It's one of the mechanics they took out because people wanted a full move set, like characters with full move sets. They don't want to have to pick and choose which one.
Yeah.
So I don't see it coming back. But for character wise, storyline wise, the gameplay takes place between 5 and 1. So we have, if someone didn't die in 5 by the end, they have a good chance of coming back.
Is it 5-0 and 1 or 5 and 1? Because I keep seeing
5 is 0. They're
5
the
is
same
0.
game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 0 takes place before 1.
Oh wait. Okay. I'm so confused because I'm like, there's a 5 special and a 5, and 5 is 0, and 5 special takes place after 3.
I think 5 special takes place after all the games, after all the numbered games. If I remember right.
What? See, I didn't even fucking know that.
I think that's 2 actually. No, it can't be 2. 2 is late in there though.
Yeah, 2 is late in there. I forget exactly where 5 special takes place, to be honest with you. I remember initially thinking it was a dream match type deal, like because it's special, but apparently it's got a full-on story and everything that we didn't get here in the West.
Yeah. That's okay though. But that means that there's a lot of cool characters that could be in this game. And the roster, I was looking at it all day, includes some of the characters that are both new. They brought some back. All right, so already I'm predicting the Kazuma brothers, you know? So Getsu, Kazuki, I'm assuming that Inja and Suija are going to be there because of that. I'm thinking Shizumaru is going to be in there. I'm thinking Basara is going to be in there. I'm thinking, well, actually, someone was asking me if Cham Cham's gonna make it, and I'm like, no, not Cham Cham. She's only been in 2, I think, so I don't think they're gonna bring her. But at the same time, this is the age of DLC, and if SNK wants to make that big waifu bucks money, they gotta put Cham Cham in there.
Yeah.
That's DLC. Doesn't have to even really be part of the story, because if she doesn't fit in there, they can just say, oh, she just tags along with Tam Tam everywhere. Why wouldn't she?
I don't think it's going to be a big roster at all. Like you're saying, way too many characters.
I know. That's what I'm saying, DLC.
So right now, the image we're looking at, people are assuming this is the starting roster, along with like some others, because this is basically the Samurai Shodown 1 cast minus a couple characters.
And we'll play Genjiro.
Oh yeah, and Genjiro. I forget about Genjiro. He's a staple of the scene. He's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
But like what? From Samurai Shodown 1, I think Wanfu and Genon are missing?
Wanfu or Genon are missing.
I forget who else is missing from here. But
Makusashiro.
That's a boss.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Well, I think the boss could be Gao.
It could
he
be
does
Gao. Yeah.
Or actually, no, it could be Yoshitora, because this is after Gao gets beat by Yoshitora and takes the throne,
takes
and
soul and everything.
Yeah.
Sang songs him.
So yeah, it could be. It could have 3 bosses, because they had 3 bosses.
You definitely cut out. They had 3 bosses in what?
there was 3 bosses in 5, so they could have 3 bosses in this.
And they're all going to be cheap. Because that's what Samurai
sure.
Shodown is. Character-wise, I think initial launch is going to have like maybe 18 at most.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. I think it's going to be at 18.
Especially for a Samurai Showdown game.
And they can pull that off because what, right here, there's 10 characters, I think? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, there's 10 to 11 characters here.
And
then we
these are
saw,
just like the principal ones.
Yeah, and then we saw Gao earlier, and we're all under the assumption that these characters will be in the game because we definitely saw gameplay footage of Haomaru, Jubei, Galford, Nakoruru, and that was it, right? Earthquake, yeah.
Nah, you didn't. Oh, yeah, you're right.
All 5 of them are in this portrait. So, again, we can assume that they're here, and everyone is under the assumption in the middle is Charlotte, which is, it makes perfect sense. That looks like Charlotte. But what if it's not? What if that's actually Duncan MacLeod? Anyone think of that?
There can only be one.
Yeah,
I mean,
that is the Highlander pose, right?
Oh, dude, sing the Queen song.
Oh no, I'm not doing that.
Well, it's fucking amazing.
Born to be
Thank you,
kings.
We are the princes of the universe. There, happy. I say.
Well, I need
I'm about to listen to that song now.
I need my Ricola, man.
Yeah, it's. We'll see what it is.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say a lot of people right now, all over Twitter and from what I saw on Facebook, are assuming that we're gonna get a Soul Calibur or a Tekken character in this. Tekken character would be Yoshimitsu.
It's totally possible. It could be Yoshimitsu or it could be Siegfried.
Like, if I remember right, Yoshimitsu's like an alien or something like that. I forget his exact backstory.
Well, he lives forever. Like,
yeah,
I'm pretty
sure. It's something like that. Like he
dodges bullets.
I don't remember what it was. I remember someone explaining to me that he's been around forever and like he has the possibility of like actually being in a Soul Calibur game and it making sense. I was like, okay, well, whatever. So we'll see.
Who's been around forever? Yoshimitsu?
Yeah.
Yeah, you could
like storyline wise, he's
he could be in there. Or you could just do some flammery and put Mitsurugi in there.
You mean Haomaru?
Yeah, dude, that's way.
That's the
too
dumbest
close.
thing. You know, you just
close.
put Siegfried in there or something like that. Nightmare.
Siegfried? I could see Siegfried.
One or the other.
Also.
You put Cervantes. Like
okay.
Put someone in this game or like in the current iteration of Soul Calibur. One of those characters. Throw him in this.
Cervantes or Ivy. Hell yeah.
Yeah, Ivy. There you go.
Yeah, Ivy would do damn good in this. Tell me people wouldn't pay money for Ivy and Sam Show?
Nah, fuck that, dude. They're not gonna put a Soul Calibur character in here. You're getting Heihachi.
Well, dude, like, all right, so already Gibby, and you can
swords.
go on Twitter. You can go on Twitter and you can confirm this, but Gibby got into a secret discussion with Tekken boss Harada and said, I don't even know what the hell he said to this guy, but he was like, he spilled the beans. He just, you freaking just poked him in the stomach and he spilled all of his guts. He was like, hey, I want to put a Sam Show character in a Tekken game. So he might get a Tekken character in Sam Show, maybe. Possibly.
He was like, hey, you know how I get to do whatever the fuck I want over here at Namco? Well, I want to do this. Dare me.
Yeah, we know. So we know he has like total control over Tekken for the most part, right? Gameplay wise, arcade wise, all that stuff. He's expressed interest in making a new Samurai Shodown game for the past year or two. He said he's a huge Samurai Shodown fan. He's a huge SNK fan. And he says Samurai Shodown is one of his favorite fighting game series, and he wants to make one, and that makes perfect sense. If they let Harada make a new Samurai Shodown, that would have been great. But he's not a part of this. At least we don't know if he's a part of this or not.
I mean, yeah, that's another important thing. We have no idea who's working on it.
Yes.
I have suspicions.
All right, so I have my suspicions too. And some people have been saying that it's because of the Unreal Engine and how it looks, but I'm just like, when I first saw it, looked just like Exit.
What?
Not like colors wise, but like just the way the models look. Looked like they were like came out of like when I first saw the first Exit trailer, I was like, I had the same feeling watching this.
We saw the same thing, dude.
Confirmed blind. Yeah. Okay. Continue your opinion that is
No, that's
solely
it.
yours.
That's literally what. It's not even an opinion. It's just like it looks. That's what
It
what
totally
it made
is
me
an
feel.
opinion.
That's an opinion.
That's it. What it made me feel. You piece of shit. Damn.
I said you can have that, man. Ain't
No,
nobody
you didn't.
argue. No, yes, I just said that.
It gave me
Okay,
the
okay.
sensation
Well,
of watching
fuck
the first
you.
excerpt video for the first time ever,
Yeah.
and then it diverged from that.
Yeah.
But at first, I was like, "Wow, these models look familiar." That's all.
Okay. I'll tell you my experience. It was like, this looks like, as far as modeling goes, was made by Dimps. And if we can understand the lineage of what Dimps provides, was not Oda a part of that team?
Mm-hmm.
So
what was the big thing that they made? Like almost 10 years
Street
ago?
Fighter 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, if you look at it, I feel like they're gonna execute what they wanted to execute visually with Street Fighter 4, right? They try to do this watercolory type style, you know, with like special artistic flair in it, and I feel like they're gonna actually pull that off for real in this one.
Well, I will say it definitely fits a lot better in this game than it did in Street Fighter 4. It's just simply because of the subject matter, you know? We already see some shades of that, and the thing about it was like when it did appear on the screen, like I didn't even trip. I wasn't like, oh wow, they added that effect. I'm like, nah, this makes perfect sense. Why wouldn't it be here? Why wouldn't these ink blots be here? Put Okami in that shit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That could work.
You know, put the dog Shiranui in there, man.
You mean have Okami replace Poppy? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, man. Put Amaterasu.
And then have Pet Shop replace Mamaha?
Yeah.
Something like that? Yeah, I think... I mean, I know we're going to get more information for the game as time goes... over the next month or two, I think we're going to get a good chunk of info. We don't have a release date for the game yet. So we can only speculate. The last time they did this, where they just showed a game, the game came out a year later, which was KOF 14. I think they're smarter and they're more prepared this time. Obviously, this game looks more polished than what's it called did? KOF 14 did when it was first shown.
Damn. Already forgetting its name and shit.
You know what? To that fact too, because we were talking about Oda and Harada. From what I've heard and my experience with how, like, a lot of companies have been working with each other, SNK is playing it smart by being involved with a lot of other developers, whereas not directly, at least consulting in a lot of shit. And this is something we know to be a fact. And I feel like things are really starting to pay off, because if you really think about it, this whole Unreal Engine thing, right? Think about it. KOF 14 had its own engine. And then they said, you know what, fuck that, let's go Unreal. I wonder why that happened. You know, like, realistically. Even in a business sense, in a utility sense, or whatever, right? SNK has had a lot of pride about a lot of the shit that they make on their own. And they finally have made, in my opinion, a really good decision in moving into the future. You know, and I have to say that it had a lot to do with their peers having the involvement in trying to push that.
Because one of the companies they're working closest with right now is Attica. And we know this because for the past year, we've had Oda-san at their offices, like playtesting the game, like playtesting Fighting Lair, and people didn't put two and two together. Like, oh hey, why are they? Oh, they're just good friends. That's all it is. And then like all out of the blue, bam, Terry Bogard coming up. Which is
dope as fuck. Because I play that game and I can't fucking wait.
So that's something everyone's looking forward to, and you know that they all bounce ideas off each other.
Oh yeah,
you know that they all help each other.
I mean, that's really what it's become at this point, right? Like they all want to survive in this future, and they're all friends, and they all understand at the immense talents that if they're not successful, we'll lose them. You know, and that's what's at stake here. Is these super talented creators. We don't want to lose them in the process of how we move into the future with gaming, right? So a lot of the people that have been able to find the formula to work, they're going back and working with these people, you know, and it's great to see that camaraderie across the board for that section of gaming, to see those guys do that. Because right now, I'm trying to think, and what's the last one people are just like really trying to fucking make happen? Virtual Fighter. um,
Don't.
That's
Not with me.
another beast
No,
entirely,
that's
bro.
the last one. That's the last one.
Yeah, but you
Come on.
gotta talk to Sega about that. That ain't happening.
Well, I know, right? But what I'm saying is that's probably the most difficult one, that they haven't been able to cross boundaries too well into making that happen, right?
Sega don't want to talk.
I don't know, but outside of that, it's been able to a lot more open to collaboration, despite being in the same fucking battle for the same arena in gaming.
Mhm.
You know, so.
Because
Interesting.
aren't we getting Clay Fighter back? We
We're
get-
getting Clay Fighter back for like 5 years, I feel like.
Yeah, I think so. And then Shaq Fu was coming back, and
That happened.
no, it already
Shaq
did.
Fu
Okay.
yeah, that
Yeah.
shit came back.
All right, and then there's no word on Primal Rage, and then of course SNK has a whole slew of IPs, and then you know what? Remember everybody, Dark Stalkers aren't dead. All right.
Oh.
Oh yeah, he brought that shit up again.
They're
Oh, actually,
not
hold on.
dead.
So he brought that up again recently. But
Oh, he
there's
did?
also been rumblings about how he ain't in position to do shit no more.
You know what? That shit is so confusing on Twitter. I don't even know what the fuck's going on, so I'm just gonna look the other way.
So, dude.
Oh, sick! Fucking
Damn!
Spartan Knight
Oh,
just
shit,
coming
Spartan Knight.
through.
Wow. Gonna go buy some freaking new pants with that.
Tamales with them. Let's go.
We're all trying to be friends out here.
Mhm.
Yeah, right.
Um,
Welcome to the squad, everybody. Yeah, no, it's great to see that they're the ones making this happen too, because I know everybody wants to see it. They want to see CVS 3, and I mean everybody says they want to see it, but no one knows who they want to make it.
Mhm.
That's the other interesting thing.
the CVS 3 talks when KOF 13 was shown off and everyone loved it. They're like, oh hey, we need SNK, we need the KOF 13 crew to make CVS 3 in that same art style. Which, as great as that sounds, that is the stupidest shit. That's the most unrealistic thing ever. That game, if that started to work back in like 2011, 2012, that game would be releasing now, if not
Yeah.
next year.
Hey, dude. Honestly, I feel like 3 years from now that game's gonna happen.
It's realistic. You know what I think?
Mm.
I think that we will get at least 2 more crossovers by what years are 18? 2021 we'll get 2 more crossovers. Not with Capcom, but just in general. I think it's gonna happen. And I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, that would be pretty monumental if we keep working. If SNK keeps working with Arika, Namco, these guys producing A Million Nights Arthur.
Yeah.
What's that?
Square
company
Enix, that's what it is. Damn.
called? Square Enix. Okay.
Square Enix. If
And
they
then,
keep working with Square Enix.
They did. This is the thing that's thrown everybody off. This is that little that hint that you see that throws you off in like a puzzle, and no one knows what the answer is. SNK had dinner with Arxis last year at Evo.
Yes, sir.
And they most definitely said, hey, we're here, we're talking business, talking the future. They said stuff like that, and everyone's like, what?
So you remember what happened after that, right? Everybody remembers what happened. I talked to somebody a couple days ago about what happened after that. And almost immediately, the rumors of NGBC2 started. And there was like a whole MGUR article and more posts about what's going to be in it or what's rumored to be in it. And Arxis was supposed to be developing. Now, we have SNK Heroines. Obviously not developed by Arxis, at least not as far as I know, and published by Nippon Ichi. This doesn't mean that it hasn't happened, but whatever they were talking about is still in play, as far as we can tell.
Because one of the big things, so let's go back, all right? Let's go back 13 years. Okay, one of the big rumors at the time was SNK versus Capcom versus Sammy, which was Arxis.
Yeah.
And everyone wanted to see it. And one of the biggest fan requested games was Samurai Shodown and or Last Blade versus Guilty Gear, which makes it, though that works. Like you can make that happen. And man, what if that happens? What if that's the thing?
Could we handle that, really? Like, could we handle that kind of crossover? I mean, I don't even know why I'm asking. We got BB Tag, and that's obviously working.
Look, you know what? Go on.
Well, I mean, we already see the wheels in motion. like how you're saying, not even BB tag, but I mean, I'm pretty sure we had 3 crossovers already that involve Fatal Fury characters or King of Fighters characters. You got Terry, you got Mai,
Terry, Mai, and Geese so far.
And Geese, right?
Yeah.
It's already happening.
Oh, and Iori.
You know, that's right. And Iori in that Arthur Million fucking game.
Yeah, totally out of place, by the way.
He looks good.
Like, he actually does look good.
Yeah, it's not a wrong joke. He really looks nice in that game.
The wheels are already turning, man. Like, this game, Samurai Shodown, is gonna open new doors for the potential of those types of things, right? In my opinion, it's always desperately needed to have another good game to be side by side with KOF. And this is looking like we're finally going to get that, right? Because it needs to expand its library. And unfortunately, they haven't had the financials to go beyond the one game. You know, they've been a one-trick pony for quite some time. But now, they kind of have opened up in a lot of avenues with mobile and other types of shit that they're getting money, and they have the support of another company to be able to push these things forward. And right now, they're working like they know to strike when the iron's hot. Right now is the fucking time, and everybody's working together, man. I mean,
and that's the best thing, because one of the things that hurt, it hurt and helped. Okay, the competition way back when in the early mid, like throughout the 90s, that helped. It helped all the devs want to push themselves forward, but at the same time, so much oversaturation. Now everyone's working together. And this is easily the best thing for the scene. Like, all the companies working together. And, hey, let's just make all of our shit big. Hey, you want to borrow our character? Yeah, go ahead. You can have our character do stuff like that. You want to borrow our dev team? Hey, you guys, Tekken, you guys want to borrow our top 8 commentators' pockets and Abe? Yeah, go ahead. That'll be great. I want to see. I mean, I don't want to see you guys commentate Tekken, but I want to see
Dragon Ball.
Yeah, you guys can. But yeah, I want to see more stuff like this. Like, all this crossover stuff is what everyone dreamed of. So Marvel vs. Capcom came out. Everyone's like, oh, sick, Marvel characters fighting Capcom. Oh, shit. Like, for me, I wasn't a comic guy. But it was like, hey, the X-Men cartoon versus fucking Capcom versus Street Fighter. This is sick. I like it. But then CVS hit. CVS is what blew everybody's mind.
Yeah, that was the one that really fit. Because I will say about the Marvel series is that it was entertaining, it was fun, it definitely had its skill gaps and whatnot. It had its high level play, and it's incredible to watch. But CVS 1 and 2 was like the one where it was like, okay, this is what the Street Fighter players are gonna play now.
Dude, it wasn't just that. It was the shock that they crossed over at all. Like, what the fuck? Like, you have Terry and Ryu in the same fucking game, and they look good. You know, fuck, man.
The way a lot of the SNK characters look now, it's like, oh shit. Because
better than SNK.
So yeah, that was the big thing. It looked way better than any SNK game they've been in, except for Rock, who objectively looks like trash in CVS 2 compared to Mark Wolves.
Yeah, you're right. You're definitely right on that one. Yeah,
almost every other character, and maybe Hibiki.
Hamaru, bro.
Hibiki was a bad port. Hibiki was a bad port.
Yeah.
Hamaru looked cool.
Everyone lost it. Like, so all the SNK fans lost it. And then when CVS 1 came out, it was a 4-button game to accommodate the SNK players, because 6 buttons is too hard for SNK players or something. I don't know. That was the shit everybody joked about. It was such a big deal. And then CVS 2 came out, and they increased the roster. And they got rid of the shitty ratio. And they kept the ratio system. They just improved it instead of keeping it like, hey, these characters are stuck at 1, these characters stuck at 2, and so on and so forth. It was such a big deal at the time, especially since the two companies were like, hey, these two companies hate each other. I'm an SNK fan. You're a Capcom fan. Fuck you. And you say fuck me. Like, we hate each other. It's people genuinely hated each other in the arcade over like fucking SNK and Capcom shit. And then boom, the game comes out and they all have to love each other. I mean, they didn't love each other, but they had to. You know,
people became Capcom players of that because that was a Capcom game, and so they went and adapted to the system because they wanted to play their favorite characters in this new game, and it wasn't that hard. I mean, there were still some concepts from SNK games that existed because of the groove system, especially in CVS2. You know, almost what made CVS2 as versatile as it is almost had nothing to do with Capcom.
Also, since we mentioned CVS in general, also have to give probably one of the best presentations ever in the fighting game. Whether it be intros into a stage or the actual stages themselves, that shit was mind-blowing. I don't think they've done that since.
Well, they legally can't.
No, they can't. What I mean is the way that they presented, period.
Oh,
like
yeah.
a game, like the way how beautiful the fucking backgrounds are in CVS1, fucking gorgeous, man.
CVS
The intros.
Yeah. Presentation to CVS1, fucking amazing, and then it just went to shit in CVS2. Like,
I gotta say, CVS1 definitely had the better background.
Yeah, CVS1 had the better overall presentations because they kept everything. They kept everything 2D. And to make it easier with CVS2, they made it 3D, and 2D characters on a 3D background didn't look great, and a lot of those backgrounds weren't really the best.
They were generic as fuck.
Yes,
they didn't have any meaning whatsoever.
No, it's like, hey, we've got Leon sitting on top of a Doom buggy, everybody. Have fun.
Yeah,
hey, there's Billy chilling with his sister. Hey, have fun. Stuff like that.
Then we got SVC Chaos. So yeah, CVS3, if it does happen, we don't know who's going to make it, but we know now that the synergy surrounding the concept of it has never been stronger, and it wouldn't surprise me if they literally all had members of their dev team putting hands on it, and most likely those people have worked together in the past before anyway.
I definitely feel like Capcom is in a similar place where they need another game to run alongside its main franchise, and unfortunately it's more than likely not going to be MVCI. They need another game.
They need to bite the bullet and just make a Capcom All-Stars games using the Versus engine. I'm sorry. Like, I know that it's going to feel weird. Well, actually, no, it won't feel weird without Marvel characters, because they did it with Tatsunoko vs. Capcom, and that was a great game. I don't see why that cannot extend to an all Capcom Versus game.
I feel like, to them, they should probably feel so fucking over this whole Disney Marvel shit that they would go in that direction. They'd be like, you know what? Fuck this shit, dude. Fuck having to beg these guys to make this shit work, fucking them with the roster or whatever. Let's make our shit that we want.
That everybody's been asking for. Rival Schools, God Hand, Okami, all these damn IPs that no one gets to touch but us, and we're not even touching them. Let's turn them into the freaking fighting game that we know we can make. And if people are going to get mad because Magneto is still not in it, they weren't going to buy it anyway.
Yeah. People who don't buy a game because, oh, my character's not in it. That's fucking stupid.
Yeah, they weren't going to buy it anyway.
Dog, Marvel is too fucking big now. Like, that ship might have sailed.
Yeah,
I
Marvel,
think they, I don't, oh, go ahead, sorry.
It's been a year now since Marvel came out, roughly a year.
Yeah.
And we haven't heard or gotten anything from it. There have been rumors of a new Marvel update coming out, but nothing. We haven't seen shit.
That could be like a patch for the netcode, you know? Jeez. But yeah, I know that it might be embarrassing because it'll look like they gave up and took their ball back to their home base and said, well, Marvel doesn't want to play with us, so we're going to make our own game. And hopefully you guys like it. Yeah, I can get that doesn't come out the gate with as much kick as a new Marvel vs. Capcom game, especially after all that. But still, man, like you're leaving money on the table here.
Think about it. Think about their strategy so far that's worked, right? What's another franchise besides Monster Hunter that you're like, okay, you're giving us what we want now?
Resident fucking Evil.
Yes. Resident Evil. They're giving us what we fucking want, right? Giving us Resident Evil. Finally giving us that fucking remake we've been asking for. And in hindsight, it's great that it came out in this generation. But we've been asking for that shit for a really long time.
Yep.
Resident Evil 2 remake has been asked for since Dreamcast, GameCube era, like PS2 era. So over 15 years now. And the game came out 20 years ago. They wanted a remake for Resident Evil 2, like 4 years after it came out, 4 or 5 years. Think about that. This is what remakes weren't even prevalent back then. No one really gave a shit about them.
And by the way, if you're asking like what this has to do with any of the other SNK shit that we talk about, I mean, if we're talking about crossovers, this is really important. Like
Yeah.
we need Capcom to win, man. We
Mhm.
need you guys to win, and this is the type of shit that they need to do. That I feel like they will eventually go in that direction because that's the direction they're already going into. It's already organically headed that way, you know.
All it takes is one guest character. In
Oh
season
yeah,
10.
fucking Devil May Cry. People already love it on first sight. The new
Mhm.
Devil May Cry, they're like, yes, this is the shit that we want.
They love that in a corny ass song.
Dante looks like
Yeah.
a creeper, like legitimately looks creeper, but it's just
He looks
hilarious.
like a dude that does meth and his teeth fell out.
Yes.
But it looks cool. It still fucking looks cool.
No, that looks like it's for Devil May Cry fans. It really does.
Hmm.
But, well, so we're talking about crossovers, and we're talking about all this shit. I don't have the image on me right now. I couldn't find it, but we know we're getting that Thief Arthur character, right? For SNK Heroines,
Yeah, we're getting a Thief Arthur character.
and we're getting another character who is just a silhouette right now. And they haven't said who it is. All we know is it's a crossover character.
Mhm.
Predictions. 'Cause
Prediction.
This Million Night Arthur character, that none of us will predict that shit.
Yeah,
Dude, it could literally be anything because of that inclusion.
I think that was more. Well, this is my conspiracy theory, but my prediction about my theory behind that was because of the unpleasantries that SNK and Square Enix went through with High Score Girl. That was one of their let's make nice moments. So not entirely out of left field, but definitely unexpected in terms of how deep they were going to what lengths they were going to go through to actually prove that they were cool with each other now. But they could be going with another Square Enix character in that case. But I don't know any Square Enix characters that would match that silhouette. And SNK has been, reaching out to a lot of people lately. We talked about Arxis earlier, and I mean, I gotta say, one thing that Arxis got is waifus.
Biking? You saying they're gonna put my biking in there?
I mean, no.
Biking in Samurai Showdown.
So, Chris, any prediction? Instead of just speculation, you have a prediction.
A prediction, like, can I at least just predict like the franchise it's
Yes,
from? Because
yes.
I can't even think like a character.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that's hard. You know what? I'm just gonna freaking roll the dice here. I don't play craps, but let's do it. I say it's Capcom character.
Capcom?
Capcom character.
Abe, you sound like you've got opinions.
I think it's gonna be a Bandai Namco.
Think Bandai Namco?
I think it's
Yeah.
that chick from Dino Crisis.
Oh, wow. You think it's her?
Yeah.
I think it's...
Dino Crisis.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
I think it's a Fexel character.
Like,
Because
okay, that's the
they
same
just
thing,
got
yeah.
Terry.
Yeah.
So I think... I was going to say we. SNK should be getting SNK should be getting something in return.
We should be getting dude. Like, I
'Cause-
don't even know if you would want to waste that on SNK Heroines because put Garuda in Samurai Showdown, man. That would be so tight.
We'll see. And another thing that some people aren't taking into account with this character is they put a gender bent Terry in there. What's stopping them from taking, I don't know,
Don't do
Dawson
this to me, man.
and
Don't
gender
do this
bending?
to me.
What's stopping them from putting anything like that in there?
I definitely think Capcom will put their foot down and tell you to go fuck off.
Yes, I agree.
In that scenario, I don't think they're willing to play ball.
What if it's gender bent Dimitri?
Nah, fuck that. That would be good though. That would be sick. I want gender bent
I
Heihachi.
got Midnight Bliss
That's
on
what I want.
myself.
I want
You know,
Heihachi.
Skullomania actually would probably be.
Yeah, gender bent Skullomania makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Like, it's a he's a fan favorite character, and just throw
Fits the theme, the aesthetic
Yeah,
of
exactly.
that game.
Goofy. It's perfect. That's actually what my prediction is. Like, I really think it's gonna be that character. Because who else from that series would they bring in that fits that silhouette? There's no one.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Oh yeah, you're right. And that's actually the exact same pose.
Oh, I didn't even think about the pose. I just saw the.
No, the pose
head.
is literally fucking Skullomania, I think.
Well, actually, no, because I remember you're making a great point. It's Akira from rival schools. And I'm
Oh,
like, nah,
yeah,
they would
yeah,
never-
yeah,
Yeah, people thought it was Arika Akira
Akira.
from Rival Schools, and it's not her because she does wear a helmet, but her head is huge.
Yeah, her head is huge, and it's just not that.
I
it's
mean, not her
that
head.
level.
The helmet's huge.
But so like it would make sense if it was the skull cap or the skull head mask.
And on top of that, I love that character too much. That's genuinely my favorite rival school character. Pia, she's fucking sick as fuck. She beats the shit out of you.
And she's so nice about it.
But that pose, apparently, from what I was reading online before the show, fits a bunch of characters, and it's gonna be interesting to see who it is. I do think it's gonna be an Arika character though.
Okay.
Because I don't know anyone in Tekken that poses like that.
Well, you know what, man? I hope that they reach out to some other company that we're not even thinking of right now. Because if SNK could spread the love and make some better business decisions from the connections that they're making through this game, hey, man, I know people got weird feelings about SNK heroines, but dude, this is the game that is opening doors.
I gotta say,
it's opening
this is
doors, it's making them money, and that money is gonna be used to go into fucking Samurai Showdown, possible other games. We know KOF 15 is eventually gonna come out. We just don't know when. So we'll just say Mark of the Wolves 2, Last Blade 3, Nam 1976.
You know, if they were really some ballsy motherfuckers, they would make like a 3D action game featuring Metal Slug and the Ikari Warriors.
You mean like Metal Slug 8?
No, like 3D, like, you know.
Yes, but you know, Metal Slug 8, like Metal Slug 6. Yeah. Metal Slug 6 and 7 had Ikari characters.
Yeah, I remember that. They got to bring back Ikari Warriors basically with Metal Slug characters.
I gotcha. That would be sick. Yeah. Because I don't know if you know, they did release a 3D Metal Slug game before.
Yeah, I remember looking that up like a couple months ago.
I brought it up. I'm pretty sure I brought it up on one of the original shows, and it was a very bad game.
I'm sure of it.
It was genuinely a bad game.
So since we're on the excitement of Samurai Showdown, and we've kind of been talking about, or like slightly mentioning it, what is your prediction for the very next franchise that they're going to be working on after Sam Show? That's not KOF.
I don't want to say Garo either.
Then I will. That's what I'm going with. It makes sense. Like,
I feel like that's the easiest.
Yeah, that and Metal Slug are the two that make most sense, and I'm just gonna assume they're making good money on Metal Slug defense or attack or whatever it's called, and go with Mark of the Wolves, or not just Mark of the Wolves. We'll just say a generic Garo game. It could be Real Bout. It could be Mark of the Wolves 2. It's gonna be Mark of the Wolves 2. But we'll see.
I think it'll be Mark of the Wolves 2 finally. Also, I feel like if they came out with another Garo game, like it would not. It really get the impact that Mark of the Wolves 2 would get, you know? Like, yeah, you might get another, if you get another Real Bout, like I think the community will be happy about that, because people like that series. But because the story of Mark of the Wolves is literally incomplete because they told us we didn't get to finish it, it makes it seem like you have some built-in storyline there that is both within and outside the game. So
Here's another point that's been brought up a lot in Twitter. Too many games. Too many fighting games are around in this period of time. And people were speculating about how EVO's going to look. All that stuff. What games are going to get played at tournaments. And I really think we're getting at the point. And Gibby, I could have sworn we talked about this topic at some point, like on Fatal Showdown a while ago, where we really are going to have to start seeing people, or at least companies, break off and have their own shit because it's just not going to be viable anymore.
Well, it's already happening anyway. I mean, you got tours all over the place.
Yeah, it's not just the tours, though. It's just these tournaments that host all the popular games. I think it's just not going to be possible to hold it unless its own community takes care of it. You know, and I feel specifically for SNK, it's gonna have to be taken care of by its own community, and it's already happening. You know, we're seeing
we had the side tournament. We had the side tournament this year.
Exactly, we're seeing the little progression into that. That's something we're gonna have to do, right? We're gonna have to take SNK games into our own hands because we're slowly starting to get so big that places like EVO and the main majors that you like to go to, those other games are just becoming too big that they won't be able to fit everybody. Like
Right.
I love EX Slayer, for instance. Like, how are you gonna fit EX Slayer, Samurai Showdown, the next fucking King of Fighters, whatever, all these fucking games into a major or Evo on a main lineup? I just don't think it's gonna be possible in the future.
Bunch of one-day tournaments, baby.
I'm
But
down for
anyway,
that.
yeah, definitely after 2017, yeah, let's do it again. I was gonna say that you will most likely see more single entries from companies because this year we got 2 entries from Arxis. We got Guilty Gear, we got and Cross Tag. I mean, technically Dragon Ball 2 with Bandai, and you had 2 Bandai Namcos. You had Tekken and Dragon Ball. We very likely will see a push towards some of these companies only having 1 entry. You know, whether that's because the companies think that it's not worth money to put 2 games in Evo, or because they just get outbid and they're like, hey, I can't compete I can't double the price that these guys are paying to be in, or whatever. You know, I mean, let's face it. Like there's a lot of lobbying that goes into being a major player, and I'm not just talking about Evo. I'm talking about just the esports sphere as a whole. You know, like, not saying they got to pay to be in it or anything like that. I'm just saying that there's a lot of man hours and advertising that's spent making these games that relevant. You know, it's not just the community. The community's play a huge part. Don't want to take that away, but it may not be lucrative for people to be like, man, we're gonna dump all this marketing money into making 2 of our games that big. Bandai Namco has an out though, because they are gonna get Shueisha behind Dragon Ball, obviously. So if Shueisha says, hey, we want Dragon Ball to be right in step with Tekken and Street Fighter 5 and Guilty Gear or Cross Tag, whatever it ends up being, then they'll probably shell out for that. And that'll be probably the only special case at a lot of events. But if SNK is serious about this, they're seriously on their grind right now, you're right. They're going to not only have to dump some money into that marketing, but they're also going to have to take matters into their own hands and take matters out, not necessarily of the hands of the community, but they're going to have to direct. They're going to have to lay out some standards, you know? They can't just say, oh, you want to run our event? Well, then here you go. Here's a pop bonus. Here's some T-shirts. It's like, no, you got rules now. We're doing this legit. You got to have this kind of setup. You got to have this logo over here. You got to have this backdrop. We'll provide it for you. And you got to work with these people who are going to be broadcasting it. There's got to be a solid bottom line there.
So, to that point, with the infrastructure that the FGC has right now, it's literally impossible to be able to have all these successful things, mainly because there's just too much crossover in the production teams that work these things.
Right. So they're going to have to make a hard choice. They're going to have to make a hard choice.
No, well, that's what I'm trying to get to is the community needs to start fucking educating themselves and creating its own shit. There's just too many games to be supported with high level production value because there's not that many companies that do that right now. You know, we got the 10-0 crew that does a lot of shit, Level Up people, and I'm sure there's another one that's rather big, but I can't think of about it right now. But we got to think about it in that aspect as well, is that these things are starting to command a lot of attention from these production teams, right? Not even just production teams, but commentators and all this other shit. We're going to start being a lot more specialized and have a lot less crossover of talents in that arena. We are literally going to have to be our own fucking thing.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I just do not see any way that it's going to be. They're not going to get their best bang for their buck, you know? And that's why I think it's really important to start establishing those roots right now so that we can move forward. And I mean, that is kind of the game plan that we have here with Game Goons, right? And we know that there's other people that have been really trying to push forward into making their own arena as well. But it's something that's gonna have to happen if we really want something significant to come out of this that'll work. You know, as far as what we've seen so far of these types of tours, whatever SNK has pretty much initiated, they've pretty much always defaulted to some, I hate to say, like off-brand production, you know, and it's obvious, right?
Yeah, there has been a. That's what I mean. There has been a lack of consistency on the production side of things, and I know it can't get perfect every time because it's literally streaming is a bullet, you know, straight up. But there also has been much of a like, hey, we noticed you didn't do this when we asked you to. There's no
rookie mistakes. Let's be real. There's a lot of rookie mistakes that are getting made that it's kind of obvious that in that aspect people don't really know what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know, and that's right now we're in those early stages where like we're becoming fucking adults. We're getting in touch with our feelings. We're trying to figure out who the fuck we are. We're in like the college stage, right? Where we think we can do everything, right? It's like, you know what? I can figure this shit out for myself. There's YouTube videos out there. We're fucking good, right? But then the value of experience, especially in streaming, is probably one of the most important things that you can have as a part of your arsenal to achieving a satisfactory stream, right? On top of that, having people who know what they're doing. And I have to say, as far as SNK goes, it's been really subpar.
Yeah.
And that's largely due to the fact that they... Man, I don't even know if I should continue with this thought because I'm not slagging on nobody here, you know? I know people are trying their best and they're trying to provide a nice product for not only for SNK to be proud of, but for the community to enjoy, you know? Nothing wrong with that. And there's nothing wrong with making a mistake. It happens. But a lot of what's really, like you said, brought SNK down was the production values because they were using people who just, they don't do this real, you know? There's no incentive for them to do better unless they want to. And there are production teams like 10-0, you say, that will definitely, you pay them, they'll do better. They get paid to do that shit, you know? And they will give you 10-0 quality production. But not everybody can provide that. And SNK has to be willing to just say, you know what, we deserve it. Samurai Shodown deserves it.
Yeah. And Samurai Shodown most definitely deserves it. They need to make sure that this game comes out with a bang. And if they faltered anyway, if there's any like, oh hey, yeah, we're thinking of doing this, we're thinking of doing that, we think we're gonna outsource this to a different company. No, they can't. They have to do everything themselves. If they outsource anything, it's gonna be production, because as much as I hate to say it, every bit of production they've done and that they've done through others has been bad, and they're completely aware of this, which is nice. I just hope that they act upon it, because that would be perfect. Because if they do, then, you know.
Yeah. I mean, we work with these people all the time, not just SNK, but the production people, and we know what can be accomplished if they just approach them and are serious about it, you know?
I guess
gotta get serious.
This is the last aspect that we need SNK to play ball, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think this is probably the biggest criticism that we have, that this is the final piece of the puzzle that they need to play ball with. And I'm sure through their experiences, they kind of know that they need to go in that direction. Right, because it's the failures that I feel have really opened their eyes. Is like, this isn't just something that you just fucking do, you know, like this is something that requires an expertise, not just some dude that fucks around doing this shit at home for shits and gigs.
Yeah,
you know, or that does something that has nothing to do with any type of fighting game related anything, you know. With in reference to all the things that production-wise have been like in the Neo Geo World Tour, or in the KOF thing that they did with the KOF World Cup.
Yeah.
It was amateur levels.
Inconsistent. Like and obviously we had a leg up, but the best production was at Evo.
Yeah.
That's probably the best production of that tour that I've seen, and not just because we were running it and I got to toot our own horn on our channel. Thank you for watching, by the way, everybody. It was on the Evo stage, got great, got a great viewing time, numbers, and the quality was there. The quality was there, and at that point, should have been very obvious that it can't go any lower than this. It literally, that's the new baseline, to say the least. And it wasn't even amazing. It was just enough to make it be presentable, because it's just KOF 14, I don't think that it's that hard to do that. I mean, we fucking did it. The whole Tony did it.
Shout outs to Game Goons.
So I don't accept that it's a resource issue when you decided to do this. When you actively decided to run a year-round event around a game, be it SNK or a third party. I don't accept that, because we are literally working off of whatever the goons have given us and what we had before that, which is basically bubblegum.
Yeah, I was going to say it's Bazooka Joe.
Bazooka Joe. That shit barely works. Can't even chew it. And we had a really good event, a lot of heat behind it. So I don't say this to brag. I don't say this to say that everybody else sucks and that they should be fired out of a cannon. I say this because, hey, you need to step it up. And SNK can't wait for you to step it up, You can go off and do your own stuff and get better, and then maybe you're like, hey, maybe I want to collaborate with you guys. It doesn't have to be a major circuit, but I'd like to run an event, and it's going to look this good. And they're like, you know what, cool. We would love for you to stream an event.
I know you guys have the same exact feeling I had. When you guys saw these events, you guys were like, well, if you guys are okay with that, well, then let us run everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if that's okay, then you'd be more than happy with the product that we'd give you.
Yeah. I literally wiped my ass with a modem in there to scream,
Yeah, damn, all right.
Anyway, I'm done talking about that. Go ahead, guys.
But yeah, I think, with Samurai Shodown coming out, it really gives us a look into the future, right? And these are the types of things that we've been considering for a while, and now we have a more focused direction than we probably ever had for the future, right? We've been trying to figure out, speaking of which, Neo Dojo, Gibby, can you do us a favor and throw up that advert? We are announcing the game list for Neo Dojo that's held at Super Arcade this month, or yes, it is this month.
This month.
September 22nd. Fuck, I forgot where I was gonna go with that.
I'll just read it off.
So,
we're gonna run SNK or go ahead, Gibby, you read it.
Yeah, we're gonna be running 5 games this time. SNK Heroines, Mark of the Wolves, KOF 13, KOF 14, and Samurai Shodown 5 Special. A Samurai Shodown game is very likely going to be a mainstay at Neo Dojo from now on because of the upcoming Samurai Shodown release, and I would like people to get adjusted to playing Samurai Shodown, whether it be 5 Special, 2, or Mystery Samurai Shodown. We were going to do... initially, instead of doing 14, we were going to go with 98 or 2K2. I don't have multiple carts. I don't know anyone with multiple carts other than multi-carts, which I don't want. So we're postponing that till next month. Next month is when we're going to start swapping out 13 and 14, alternating them every month so we can get in stuff. And Heroines. This is... we did a... beta test, I guess. I don't know what you want to call it. Location test at Super Arcade last month.
Yeah.
And everyone there loved it. It got nothing but positive reviews. Everyone enjoyed the hell out of playing it. And Hell Pockets and I had a lot of fun commentating it.
Yes.
So we're going to be doing a tournament for the game, and it's a very fast-paced game. Like, matches end in like 20, 30 seconds, which is good. So we'll definitely have this there and see how it goes.
So now I remember what my point was, is that for people that run tournaments like us on the monthly that we do run on Saturdays, once a month, it helps us focus the direction that we're going in, right? Because it kind of felt for a while like we were shooting darts in the dark, trying to hit a target in the dark. And now Samurai Shodown has definitely given us a backbone to build off of something, right? SNK Heroines is like a lucky surprise, you know, like didn't really think much of it, but people like it and people want to play it, so yeah, we're gonna include it as well. But the mainstays like Samurai Showdown, that's super important for the direction that we decide to go in, you know, and it really helps us develop what type of monthly that we're gonna be, and even somewhere down the line, who knows, man? Maybe we'll run a super duper Neo Dojo. I don't know, you know.
I mean, we can. We definitely have the resources and the connections
Mhm.
to make something like that happen. We also have the resources and the connections to make, whenever SNK starts deciding to location test this, we can probably get it done somewhere. This isn't like boasting or anything. It's just a fact. We can probably get it shown off at random tournaments, at locals around the country, stuff like that. And that is, hopefully that happens. And speaking of that, I mentioned this earlier. When do you guys think the game is coming out? Samurai Shodown for PS4.
Oh,
So this is the $1 million question, because if they are serious about this being a mainstay in your local fighting game major, it probably needs to drop around, well, I would say between February and April.
so turnarounds have been relatively quickly from announcements as of late.
Mhm.
I feel like that's starting to become a more common trend. Yeah, I have to say, to take full advantage of it, if we think that it's gonna come out soon, or in a relatively like next year, that it would have to come out in maybe like a month or two before Evo or something like that, to give it a real run for an actual series of events and stuff
Mhm.
like that.
Releasing it after Evo would be, if it's released after Evo, it would have to be like say
Mhm.
December, November, December of next year. But
I think if
that's-
it get released after Evo, though, that roster better be huge.
yes, exactly.
Oh, that's gonna be, yeah. If it does get released after,
Mhm.
it's gonna be, now you're going up against some pretty lofty expectations.
Yeah.
My guess is March. That's what I'm going with. I definitely think it's coming out March. And we'll probably get. I don't think we're getting a release announcement now. I think we'll get a release announcement at PSX or Evo Japan. That's my guess, because that makes sense. Those are the two next big events for Japan and fighting games.
We will get a trailer most likely at TGS, though.
Oh, we already got our trailer.
Yeah.
So we'll just replay that at TGS, then, most likely.
Yeah, that's if they have a presence there.
Okay.
So we'll see. I hope it. I want it to be as polished and refined as possible. I know they've been working on this game for quite some time now, and it's gonna be a better launch product than KOF 14 was.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. And me saying it's gonna be a better launch product than 14, that's debatable, because some people thought 14 was an amazing launch. They thought it was great, and
Well, I think they say that in the fact that it had a pretty big character roster. Like,
Yeah.
I think people mostly say that's their judgment. Like, oh, this shit was tight, because they
I
had a
will-
shitload of characters.
I when people tell me that the launch for 14 is good, I hear better than expected.
We
That's all
got
I
more
hear.
than we thought we would.
Yeah,
Mhm.
we got more attention than we thought we would. The game had a lot of heat behind it. There were people playing that game that, weren't KOF players. Like, Hanzo Gonzo, best Terry Bogard in the world.
Let's not forget though that this definitely was like, hey, you're releasing this game literally in progress, like before your eyes. We're working on it and releasing it at the same time.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, I don't know.
Uh-huh.
But at the same time, if they did that with Sam's show, I don't think you'd be able to tell, at least unless there was like such a drastic graphical upgrade, or they fixed such a gigantic bug that should have never been there to begin with. I think it's a little safer for them to release a little earlier in 2019. But like I said, if they go for a later, it'll be polished. It'll be probably pretty close to done, but that roster better be massive. And then where do they go from there? As much as I love the idea of not having to buy DLC characters, that's not the era we live in anymore.
no, it's not. Every every fighting game has the DLC model now. You have to have it. What about the online? Are we finally getting solid, good online? KO14 online wasn't bad.
I mean, I was watching. I read some tweet from that Sheets was having a discussion with someone, and he said it's probably going to be delay-based netcode because that works in Japan. And I'm like, that's definitely the classic SNK argument, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, no, that's just,
or just any argument.
Yeah,
from Japan.
any of the Japanese dev arguments, and it's true.
Yeah,
like, that works perfectly fine in Japan.
Yeah, because they have the great internet, and we do not. Our infrastructure is just not up to snuff. We also have a lot more ground to cover, but at the same time, Code Mystics has been doing magical things with their games. I won't say they're perfect, but it's a lot better than, like, some of those re-releases are playing a lot better than the ones that came before, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying Code Mystics are the people that will be working on this. You know, that's a totally different endeavor than what they've done so far. But I do think that the standard might have been raised a little bit. Now, the only thing I'm worried about, though, is that apparently people are complaining about SNK Heroine's netcode, which at the same time, I'm like, so what?
I haven't seen anything in regards to that.
I've only heard people say it's shit. And I'm like, you know what? People say KO14 netcode is shit. And it wasn't that bad.
Well, if it's not perfect, it's shit. That's the way people see it.
That's true, yeah.
Every SNK game has been trashed for its online. Even, say, Mark of the Wolves on PS4, which I have played people with no issues at all on Mark of the Wolves on PS4, but people tell me it's 100% unplayable. And I know these people are stupid and wrong because they don't know how to play the game for starters, and they just want to complain and say their losses are from bad online.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So,
I would say delay-based netcode still. No, I think it'll work, though.
I think it will be passable.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't expect it to be great. It'll be passable. And also, Samurai Shodown is a different game.
It is.
You know, it might benefit much more from the type of netcode that KOF had, versus KOF is a really fast game.
Mix-ups and shit, yeah.
But well, I don't know, man. They might have some bullshit in that game too.
Yeah, like we said, we don't know what they're adding in. They may speed it up. So blocking mix-ups may be a thing. I doubt it, though. I doubt it.
But okay, so I don't know about you guys, but I'm gonna have to take off in a bit. So I want to try to close out whatever topics that we want to close out and get to our end. Yes.
End?
But one thing I do want to mention while we are here and we continue with this discussion is, what the fuck is it called, Gibby? Is it September? I mean, we already saw our
September. So hey, everybody, I was gonna bring that up when we were closing out.
Spartan Knight, by the way, because what a hero tonight.
Yes.
But yeah.
So everyone, it is September. Last year September was half off subs. This year September is you can gift subs to people at normal price, and then those gifted subs can resub for $1 the following month. So that you essentially get 2 months for $6 total. So if you're feeling generous, like Spartan Knight was, he gifted, what was it, 6 subs earlier?
Damn.
Bless you. All right, you will be taken care of in life. We would appreciate any and all donations and subs. We appreciate everything that we get here. We are. I'll give you the exact number right now. Where is it? We are exactly 7 subs away from a new emote. And if you'd like to see more emotes on the channel, if we get 7 subs, we got this. Got a new emote. We don't know what it's going to be yet, but it sure as shit won't be Hell Pocket's face, because that is something King Goon has deemed impossible to have on this channel.
You have been vetoed.
Mm-hmm.
They just can't let my handsome face be on the chat. That's fine.
Your handsome face is already on enough streams, bro.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right?
Look,
That is
when people go around making decisions without consulting the king, bad things happen. Okay, let's just say that.
I never even put it up.
Just stuff like that. Chris, I was gonna say this. Look at chat. I want you to look at chat. What is that?
You know, that was my idea.
It's a hairy butthole.
It is a hairy butthole indeed. Yeah.
It's like diarrhea.
Anyway, September. If you gift this up to anybody this month, they can sub the following month for $1. And according to what it says on Twitch, we get the full amount of the sub instead of it being split, which is, I don't know if we get a full $1 or if it gives us the full, like,
We get a full
rate.
$1, yes.
Either way, and again, as always, like I say, every penny we make here on Game Goons goes back into Game Goon stuff. We don't pocket anything as much as we'd love to. We do not pocket anything. As much as we should, we don't pocket anything.
Even though my name is Pocket, don't pocket anything.
The only thing we pocket are character.
Yeah. So if you're feeling generous, you have until I believe the 30th to give. Yeah, from the 10th to the 30th to give subs, and then the following month they get to sub for $1.
Anyways, for you guys that have been supporting us and that will continue, thank you. Oh, by the way, we also have a YouTube channel. Follow that shit. The views help a lot.
Yes.
Like we said, we're trying to get more eyes on this type of stuff, man, because we want to try to grow the scene and the amount of people that see this stuff, so to see that people do want to see this shit. And even by the amount of people that are here right now is surprising, because I mean, you don't really see that, right? Especially on just the talk show. So we definitely want to bring Fatal Showdown back, and shout outs to all those guys that have been putting in work, like Dream Cancel, and I know somebody else is doing a podcast as well, for putting content out as well. But yeah, man, if you guys could support us in any way, go to the YouTube channel as well. And if you guys are into Samurai Showdown, we have a few good videos for you to watch if you head on over there and try to get yourself acquainted with some high-level play. Some really good shit from Evo and from the Neo Dojo events. So,
Yeah.
are we done shilling for ourselves and showing how great we are?
I think so. I don't think there's anything left to shill. I mean, unless you got something. Did anybody got anything?
No, not for this particularly, no.
Okay.
So, we do have a few questions. Gibby, I'm gonna let you fill them and see what you want to answer,
really?
want us to answer. Yeah, they actually put it in the Dragon Ball.
That's okay. I didn't even advertise that we have a Fatal Showdown. But we do have a Fatal Showdown's question section now.
Yeah.
So, in the future...
Man, this is too many words.
Yeah, I know, dude.
I was going to say, in the future, because with Samurai Showdown coming out, we might do more Fatal Showdown episodes. Something new and exciting to cover, and, you know, things are happening for SNK. So we'll have a channel just for you guys to ask questions in there. We'll field them there. We would like them to stay in that channel because we do not want to answer these questions on Mount Pausa Arcade.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should actually just copy and paste this afterwards and get this shit out of here.
I'll handle it. Yeah, don't worry. So I'm gonna be honest. I only want to answer one of these questions, not because of anything. I just don't want to. We've been doing this for 2 hours now.
Yeah.
These are long, elaborate answers.
Super loaded. Yeah.
So no. The question I'm asking here is Lionheart16 says, do you think they will or should bring back fatalities from Samurai Shodown 5 Special? Yes, I think they should.
Yeah,
and I think they will.
It's definitely gore as hell.
Yes. Yes.
All right, we're all in agreement. These other questions, seriously, like they're just too long. If we didn't go this long, they'd have gotten answered. But this.
This will add at least like another 30 minutes.
Don't give me like a question where we're gonna have like a 5-paragraph answer for. What's wrong with you?
I got the perfect answer. Make your own decisions. There we go.
Okay, that works too.
Your opinion is your own, and same goes for everybody else. Play what you like.
Oh man, Tagman Inc. God, it's so beautiful.
You just saw it? Okay.
Yes.
It's a work in progress, he says. Okay, so is that. Be sure to follow us on Twitter. We're at GameGoonsTV. Follow each of us on Twitter. I'm pretty sure it's right there, right? I got it. No, I don't. Here, we're gonna go back to this screen here. Follow each of us on Twitter. You got right here. You got Hell Pockets. You got Meta_Abe. This is wrong.
Oh shit!
You got Manchester right here. Follow all of us on Twitter and at GameGoonsTV. Follow us. Anything that we do usually gets posted from there, retweeted from there. You want us to play anything in particular? Me especially. Just hit me up. Let me know. I'll play whatever. I don't care. But I'm stuck on Dragon Quest 11 right now. I have Heroines and I have not played it yet. Because Dragon Quest 11.
Also, hit us up, man, on Twitter. Let us know if you guys want another episode. I mean, sometimes busy doing that we forget that there's an appetite for this type of stuff.
Yeah, we've been trying to write Dragon Ball pretty hard, but I know that SNK fans just want to see the good shit, from their favorite franchise. So yeah, let us know.
You mean their favorite personalities?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
I mean, if you like that
Hey,
kind of news from us specifically, that's also cool.
from a couple of cool guys. Hey man, we let you guys like what you want to like. I'm not
Yes,
trying to
sir.
change your mind about shit. You guys play what you want. And that, you know what, man? And that's what I always appreciated about us. I might not like your game. I might think it's bullshit. But hey, I support you in liking the game that you like. Go play some fucking games.
I think that's it then, huh?
Trying to think of anything else. To Spartan Knight, you are the MVP, man.
Yes, thank you so much.
So much support from you, and definitely MVP status right now. And the rest of you, man, we see you. We see you guys too.
All right. I think my daughter's already asleep, so it's probably my turn there. As long as we're all done here, we'll be seeing you next time on another episode of Fatal Showdown. I don't even have a sign off for this anymore, do I? I don't. Oh wait, I do have one. Keep it tight, and may your fists always burn the fight.